How's it going, everyone? So today we're going to be looking at a couple different shotguns. This one here is a Beretta A300 Ultima Patrol, and this one is the venerable Benelli M4. A couple different setups that we have on them and pros and cons we're going to talk about on each one, and just kind of get a general overview of these two different guns side by side, and maybe kind of talk about which one might fit your budget better and which one maybe you should try and aim for, and just general overview of it. So get ready for the shot. Let's get into the video. I'm going to start here at the back so I can pull the sling off and get it out of the way, so it's not binding up the video or anything. But yeah, starting at the back, this shotgun, the A300 Ultima Patrol, has a sling mount here on the bottom of the gun. It's a QD cup. I heard some kind of mixed reviews on it, so I just went away from it and decided that's not what I was going to use. And I picked up a Noveski QD sling mount, a flush fit mount. So what you have to do is you get like a 1/2-inch drill bit and drill into the stock, and then you can fish this thing into the back, and you take the flush mount with a QD mount in it, a swivel, and spin it in, and it's a pretty easy install. If you're scared to drill into your stock, I don't know if I would suggest it necessarily, but it's really easy and there's no issues with it. So to get the mount out of the way, we're going to talk about the stock next. The stock is really nice because it has a reduced length of pull. A lot of traditional shotguns, it feels like you're really, really far out there, like running the action on an old pump gun or something like that. So if you're running body armor, or if you just don't want to feel like you're reaching so far out, the shortened length of pull on this is really, really nice. Also, it kind of helps over long periods of time. It helps to make the gun feel less heavy. Not all of us are strong. I'm not one of them, so it's nice to have that reduced length of pull. So moving up from here, we got the receiver. I will say this on my Beretta. I'm gonna throw a con out there on this. They ship you a piece of loop Velcro straight from the factory, which is super cool, and it's cut out for this side of the receiver. So it has the holes for your pins if you ever need to take your trigger out or anything like that. So I was like, awesome. Got that. Got some S-Tac shotgun cards. So the night that I went and I put the loop Velcro on there, put a shotgun card on, went to pull the shotgun card off, and a big chunk of the finish came off. Looked it up, and turns out that the Beretta finish is Cerakote. I don't think it's a typical problem, but it was with this one. It was a little bit disappointing, but when I ordered the S-Tac shotgun cards, I went ahead and got some S-Tac loop Velcro too, and so I just cut out a piece to match the other one, put it on. I haven't had an issue since, so that's why I'm talking about the receiver. The finish on it, I didn't have the best experience with it, but that doesn't mean that the shotgun doesn't run any better or worse. It's just a little quality control issue I think that might have come with this gun. So also on the receiver, whenever you get this shotgun, it comes with polymer rear ghost ring sights, and you also have a polymer rail that mounts right in here. The sights are really natural. They pointed really well, but I like dots. It's the 21st century. Dots run really well, so I'm going to put a dot on just about anything I can. So I got rid of those, and I ended up going with a GG&G aim point mount, and I really like it. It helps me so I can retain my rear iron sight. And the only guff that I had with it, it's not the mount's fault, it's just that I'm running a Bat-Soup Holosun optic. And I think that the objective lens sits a little bit farther forward than on like the aim points. So I had to get one of the ball head Allen keys to put in there to get that tightened down to the proper specs. But since then, I've run a ton of rounds through it. The mount hasn't come loose. It's retained 0, and I get to have a super sweet dot on my shotgun so I can be even more tactical, which is always sweet. Moving down from there, we have our charging handle and our bolt. The bolt to me is just the right size. A lot of people want a big, oversized bolt charging handle so that they can get a hold of it better and all this stuff. This is a good size to where it doesn't want to snag on stuff. It's not getting in the way. It's not hindering like emergency reloads on this, where I'm tossing one in from under the receiver off the S-Tac shotgun card, hitting the button, and this giant bolt's coming forward and hitting my hand, and I'm making malfunctions and stuff. This is a good size bolt, because realistically speaking, you shouldn't be running that bolt very often. So I think they did a really good job with that too. Moving on from there, we have the bolt release. I like that to be a little bit bigger than like the buttons that are typically on like the Benellis and stuff like that. The Benelli ones work for sure, but this one is just a scotch elongated to where, if you're coming over the top of the gun or going underneath, it's a lot more accessible. So I think they did a really, really good job with that bolt release. Underneath the shotgun, and I'm going to try and get it to an angle to where you can kind of see it, but they did a cutout into the receiver. So the whole goal for that was that it would be easier to get shells into it. And this is one of the easiest shotguns I've ever fed shells into. It also has a little bit bigger cut in there so you don't jam up your thumbs or anything like that. So it works really well. This whole upper receiver was designed really, really well. While we're talking about the receiver and everything, we'll get into the safety and the trigger on this. The safety on it's nice. If you have checked out this gun and a Beretta 1301 side by side, I think the safety on the 1301 is noticeably better. That doesn't mean that this is a bad safety by any means, but the 1301s is a little bit enlarged, and it seems a little bit easier to get off safe and on target if you need to. And throwing it back on safe is as easy as any other shotgun is with the crossbolt safety. And while we are on that subject of the safety and trigger, double check, make sure the gun's empty. Don't freak out. The trigger on these Berettas they're phenomenal. It's a very, very light, short take up. I'm not by any means like a professional shooter, and actually like on pistols, I kind of get trigger freeze sometimes. Whereas on this gun, it is just very, very easy to run this trigger. So the reset is also very, it's short, it's crisp, and it's kind of a go fast trigger. I mean, this gun just wants to shoot. Again, if we flip over to this side, we're going to check out the S-Tac shotgun card. It seems like whenever it comes to the side saddles, the hard plastic saddles, more and more it seems like they're going to the wayside, and these shotgun cards are coming into play. It's a pretty stiff elastic, so whenever you're loading them up, they hang in there tight. I run mine shells down because whenever I'm running the shotgun, I want to do a violin reload. So I'm pulling and just going off of that, and it does really well. So the S-Tac shotguns have done really, really, S-Tac shotgun shell cards have done really, really well for me. Moving up, we'll run with the forend on this, and I love it. It's got really aggressive texturing to kind of match the buttstock, so when your hands get on it, I mean, you're locked into that gun. You know, some people think it's a little too aggressive. I don't know. It hasn't hurt my hands yet. It just, you get a good grip on the gun. And the other nice thing about the handguard that's not included on like the original 1301s is the M-lock slots that they put on it. So you got M-lock at the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock position to where you can run, you know, some people put their sling mounts there, some people put, you know, their lights there, tape switches, things like that. I chose to run a Surefire dual fuel on an Arisaka 45 offset. Since the day I took it out of the box, I threw that light on there, and I have ran a ton of double aught buck and slugs through it. The light hasn't budged once. So moving forward from the M-lock mounts and all that stuff, we're going to have the magazine tube itself. The magazine tube makes it so we're going to hold 7+1 in the chamber. The end cap for this is polymer. I haven't had an issue with it. I don't know if I like that necessarily, but nothing has gone wrong. And then up here, you have 2 more M-lock slots on both sides of the shotgun. And you also have QD cups for sling swivels. So on my sling, I have Magpul sling swivels, and I had an issue with these cups up front. One of the sling swivels has no problem going into the gun and holding it up, whereas the other one, if I'm not mistaken, wants to pop right out. I don't know if that's a problem with they made the cups too shallow, so yeah, pops right out. The other one, no problem, doesn't move at all. Kind of makes you a little leery on it though, so it's something to keep an eye out for. I don't know if it's just where the detents sit on these. Maybe it's a little bit too shallow to really get positive engagement. I would just keep an eye out for it. The only other con with that is going to be that they are free swinging swivels, so they don't lock in and only go so far. They can turn as much as they want. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about this shotgun is going to be the barrel. So it's a 19.1 inch barrel. Your front sight is going to be a fiber optic red front sight. And you know, it does what front sights do. It works just fine, but I still like dots. This barrel on these is optimized for a Federal Flight Control double aught buck, 8 pellet, I believe. I've been running Winchester Defender because it's the only thing that, you know, I can find right now, and it patterns very, very well, and it's a pretty fun experience getting to shoot all sorts of different kinds of ammo through it. The buckshot groups really tightly on it, and at slugs I have this zeroed in at 100 yards, and I was just hammering steel with it. And it was really impressive how easy it was to shoot this gun, because it was a 6-inch gong at 100 yards and just smoking steel with it. And, you know, the gas system on this gun is good enough to where it has ran all that crappy Walmart, you know, Winchester ammo. I haven't put any ammo into this yet that this gun hasn't want to run. So for the money, I don't think if you're kind of budget oriented and you're not looking to spend, you know, $1,500-$1,600 bucks on a 1301, or you're not looking to spend how much on an M4? $2,000?
Yeah, 17 to
17 to 2.
Yeah.
You know, I think for a combat duty grade shotgun, I don't think you could really go wrong with this price point. There's some weird quirks to it that I hope Beretta gets figured out. Mostly your QD sockets and stuff like that. I think the finish thing was kind of a fluke, so hopefully that's all that was. But for the money, this is a really, really good shotgun, and I don't think anyone would be disappointed with it. So now that we're finished with this, I think we'll move over to the Benelli M4.
This is a Benelli M1014. I've done some modifications to it, but as it sits, there's not a lot internally that's different from the way it came from the factory. This is the skeletonized stock. It does move on the tube, but it is not adjustable. It's a one position skeleton stock. So I'm running S-Tac shotgun cards. In the past, I've had I don't remember what brand it was, but I have had the metal or the polymer side saddle, and quite honestly, I wasn't a fan of it. These shotgun cards are cheap. They're super durable, and when the elastic starts wearing out on one, you throw it in the trash and you buy another one for like 10 bucks. However, have never had the elastic wear out on one. They are very sturdy. They hold shotgun shells, and I've never had any fallout with it. So as you can see, I'm running the Midwest Industries direct mount. This is for a T1, T2 model, and right now I've got a 403, I believe it's the B model. Yeah, 403B. So far it's held up, works pretty well. I do have a T2 at home. If anything goes wrong with this one, I might just throw that on there. I'm running the Midwest handguard. It's an M-lock handguard. So far I like this a lot. It really kind of slimmed the gun down, and it gave me a spot to mount my light, my sling. The only thing I don't necessarily care for, I don't think it's too much of an issue, but as you can see, it doesn't cover the pistons very well on the gas system. You know, as long as you're not like treading around, you know, a muddy pond or something, I don't think it's probably that big of a deal, but it is something to consider. I am running a Briley Manufacturing. It's a carbon fiber 7-round tube, and if you're thinking about switching tubes on one of these, we had to put a fair amount of heat to mine to get the original tube to come off. So just keep that in mind, that they are somewhat difficult to get unstuck. That mine had a lot of I don't know if it was red Loctite or what it was on there, but it was pretty well stuck on there. So for the most part, I'm a fan of the Benelli controls. The safety's got a pretty good tactile feel to it. It does have a nice size to it over on the right side. It's pretty hard to miss. The trigger in this is pretty nice. I bought this shotgun used, so I don't exactly know how many rounds were through it before I got it. I don't believe there were many. You know, probably in the neighborhood of 25 or 50 maybe, but it does have a pretty solid trigger, and it doesn't have much for like an oversized port or anything, but I haven't noticed any issues with loading it. It loads pretty easy. The tray, it's got a nice positive spring to it, but it's not too much. You can feed that tube pretty easily. The thing with Benelli's, I don't know if they were the first ones to do this, but for a while they were, to my knowledge, the only ones. But you can essentially load a +1 in these. You can have a full tube of 7, and you can basically, you drop a round on top of the tray and then ride the bolt forward. So what you would do is you'd stop the bolt about right here. You'd push that tray down, push your slug or your buckshot round down there, and then let the bolt ride over the top of it. When people refer to ghost loading a Benelli, that's essentially what that's doing. It's dropping an 1/8 round onto that tray. So then, and that's how you would store it, empty chamber, hammer down, and then all you would do when you need to run it is charge it. It would grab that round that's setting on top of the tray right there, take that home, and then you're ready to go, and you just throw it on safe or get to doing work if you need to do work. The charging handle is a Midwest Industries also. I would say it's probably more oversized than the Beretta. However, it's not as obnoxiously large as what some of them are. I feel like it's got a pretty good feel to it, and it does on the Benellis. They are held in just by like a little detent. So if you decide you want to try out different ones, they're pretty easy to swap. Just kind of locks in there, and it's pretty easy to change. The one thing I do have a complaint on is I'm not a big fan of the bolt release. I wish it was something a little closer to like the Beretta has, where it's more of a longer lever style. It's usable, but again, it's somewhat small, and it does take some pressure to get it to release, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And then it's like on the Benellis, if you close the bolt on an empty chamber and then want to lock it back, there's a button right here that allows it would allow the bottom round in the feed tube to go into the tray. So you'll hear that click, and then you can lock it back. It took me a little bit of getting used to kind of run this shotgun, just because I'm used to like an 870 or something that's pretty simple, and you don't ghost load those or anything like that, so they're pretty easy to run. I'm also running a Briley follower, and then their extended spring that goes along with the 7-rounder. I do have a +1 for this that screws in here on the end of the choke, and it sticks out probably another like 3.5 inches, and it does allow you to put another round in the tube. So if you wanted to, this could be a 10-round shotgun, and it's really pretty light with that setup. So if you're using it for work or pig hunting or something like that, that extra round it comes in pretty handy. And then pretty similar to Lane, I'm running a Surefire dual fuel turbo. Mine's on the Pro mount that you can get with Surefires, so it works pretty well. You can kind of rotate it on this little collar right here. You just unscrew that screw a little bit, and it adjusts the tension, and then you can just kind of rotate it however you want it to fit. I like my stuff tucked in pretty tight, so I have it running up here on top of the barrel, and for me it works pretty well with where I put my hand. I can activate it right here really pretty easily. Running the Midwest M-Lock QD mount, as well as I think these are Midwest QD swivels also. No complaints with these, other than this is not a free rotating one. It does have the stops on it, so some people like that, some people don't. It doesn't really bother me if you have it kind of lined up where you want it when you've got the gun slung. And then of course running a VTAC sling. Been running those slings for a number of years, probably 10 or 12 years. No fan or no issues with those either. So overall, pretty solid shotgun. The main thing is, Benelli's, especially the M4s, the 101.4s, they've got a solid reputation for reliability. And I believe this is the shotgun that won the Marine Corps trials a number of years ago. And if I remember correctly, the gun ran something like 25,000 rounds without any malfunctions. So it's a very reliable shotgun. And for a lot of years has kind of been the gold standard in most people's opinions of a combat shotgun. So pretty happy with it. The only thing I've kind of been thinking about changing is the stock. I've never been a fan of the stocks that kind of have a downward angle to them on a shotgun, and honestly, like the pistol grip, not really my thing either. It shoots well, but yeah, I'm kind of more of a traditionalist when it comes to a shotgun. But Yeah, this thing's stupid accurate with slugs. I pretty consistently shoot at 100 plus yards with it, and that's pretty well what I keep it loaded with is slugs. I'm not a fan of mix mashing, slugs and buck, and you'll see some guys that have like alternating buck and slug and all that stuff. Like I prefer to know what it is I have in it, and it's just kind of for me easier that way. So overall, pretty happy with it. So on that note, it's kind of a little comparison, just our opinions. A couple shotguns. I'm still a pretty big fan of just a well put together 870. But semi-autos definitely have their place, and I think in the grand scheme of things, they've probably for sure overshadowed the 870s and the 590s. With the reliability of shotguns like this, early on I think that they were typically questionable when it came to reliability, especially with lighter loads. Guns like the Benelli M4, the A300, the 1301, the Mossberg 930s.
Remington 1187s, 1100s.
I think the newer generations of shotguns have kind of shown that semi-autos can in fact be reliable, and
they just run. I mean, they are mean weapons. Rifles have their place. They'll always have their place. I would have a hard time believing I would pick up a shotgun over a rifle in like a general purpose scenario, But God, I would not want to catch a slug or any one pellet of double-aught buck. I mean,
ballistically, it's hard to beat a shotgun. Whether you're shooting slugs, any particular double-aught or triple-aught buck, ballistically it is very difficult to beat a shotgun. They definitely have their drawbacks. Typically they're slower to reload. You reload them quite frequently.
Yeah, they're hungry hippos.
But man.
But I mean, you can carry. I mean, how many does yours hold in the tube?
So as it sits, that if I had one in the
lifter,
one in the chamber, and they're 8, or no, as it sits, it's 9. And then if I had that +1 extension, it will hold 10. And then you can run I believe there's 7-round STAC cards.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a fair loadout.
I can get 9 in this gun and a 7-round shotgun card.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put ammo on them. And if I wanted to, I could put another shotgun card here on the stock. I can bump up the numbers even more. I mean,
and the STAC cards are pretty easy. I mean, they're pretty simple to find places on. Whether you're running a carrier, belt, whatever. I mean, they're pretty easy to find places to get extra cards.
Dudes have fanny packs and they fill them full of shotgun cards. Yeah. So I mean, there's a way to feed the gun. You just have to, you have to keep up on it. It's not drop a mag and put 30 rounds in. I mean, that's
it's definitely a skill that it takes work and consistent work. It's not like a rifle where you can go a few months without running a rifle and pick it up and not have a lot of degradation in your skill.
It's fun though.
Yeah.
Like running a shotgun.
Kind of like running a revolver.
Or driving a manual.
Yeah.
Like it's fun. I don't know. There's something about it. So, and you think the 1301's probably better than this? I mean, I would imagine it's got a better gas system. But for two options sitting,
I don't know if you watch that Garand Thumb video for the price difference.
Yeah,
I would have a hard time spending an extra. What is it, like $700 over an A300 to get a 1301.
You have 2 price points here and 2 fantastic shotguns. So I mean, I guess that's kind of nice. You have the highest tier of them all that has just been there. It's done that. It's ran so well, and then you have something you can get your foot in the door and not have to worry about sacrificing reliability for a price point. So
I would say the A300 is probably the best thing to come to the shotgun market in years.
yeah, that's pretty hot. I love it. But I like that. The action on that is just incredibly smooth. And I mean, this is good too. There's things about this that I don't know if it's because I don't have it and I want one, that I'm like, oh, I really fawn over this gun. But I couldn't be happier with this one.
Yeah.
So different ways to go about it. But,
Yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, we have a new studio that's not a garden shed anymore. So a new Drew Tack.
Yeah, this is the first video in the new to me shop. It's got a lot. Got a lot of work to do, but it's big.
Yeah, it's cold.
Yeah, it's cold.
I'm cold.
I need heat.
Give it time.
Yep.
What was I gonna say? I like it here. This is a lot more manageable to walk around than a garden shed.
Yeah.
It is powered by a 100-foot extension cord. So, shut up. So, but yeah. So, thank you for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know one of the reasons I wanted to make it was because I don't know why. I'm on a shotgun kick. I can't get enough. Even though I own this gun, I can't watch enough videos about it and like the M4 and Remington 1187s and stuff like that. I'm just on a big semi-auto shotgun kick, so that's what spurred this video. And yeah, thank you for watching.
Yep, appreciate it.